In the final age of men, when the heavens dimmed like a dying ember, and the earth groaned beneath the weight of its own history, a silence spread across creation. It was not the silence of peace, nor the quiet of rest, but the deep and trembling pause before judgment. A moment where every star seemed to wait, suspended, as if the universe itself anticipated the turning of a page, written before time's first breath. For ages uncounted, the seals had remained unbroken, etched into the fabric of divine commandment, guarded by forces older than the first light. But nothing crafted by eternity is safe from destiny, and destiny, once awakened, demands its unfolding. When the first seal cracked, the sound was not heard with ears, but with the soul, a resonant shudder that travelled through every living thing. And from that rupture, that wound in the firmament, came the beginning of the end. This is their chronicle, the story of the riders who reshape the world, the bearers of prophecy older than stars, the harbingers of the final dawn, the Four Horsemen. The wind stirred as if remembering how to move, carrying with it a glimmer of pale radiance. From the yawning crack of the first seal, a figure emerged astride a steed, white as unfallen snow. Its mane shimmered like threads of starlight, its breath a cold mist that parted the darkness. Upon its back rode the first horseman, Conquest, though many would call him by other names, sovereign of dominion, herald of the crown, the architect of compulsion. His eyes burned with a quiet, terrible clarity, the gaze of one who sees not what is, but what must be. In his hand he bore a bow, though no arrow rested upon its string. He needed none. His weapon was his voice, his presence, the inexorable pull of authority that bent nations to his will. Origin. Before his mount touched mortal soil, he existed as command incarnate, born of humanity's unending desire to rule, to impose order upon chaos. He was shaped by the rise and fall of empires, carved from the ambitions of kings, forged in the belief that dominion is destiny. Dominion. Where the white horseman trod, unity followed, but unity marred by coercion. Cities surrendered before battle began. Leaders bowed, not from loyalty, but from the weight of inevitability. His influence seeped like frost through the cracks of civilization, crystallizing free will beneath a gleaming but frigid authority. Under his gaze, borders dissolved, replaced by a singular vision: one world, one regime, one crown. He promised protection, structure, purpose, and many welcomed him, unaware that such order carried a hidden cost. How he reshaped the world. Governments collapsed not in fire, but in silence. Populations marched not as armies, but as followers, compelled by a purity of purpose that was not their own. What was once diverse, chaotic, unpredictable, became uniform. But in this false peace stirred unease, for conquest, even bloodless, leaves scars. And the world, reshaped into a gleaming edifice of obedience, was a brittle thing. A single spark could shatter it, and the second seal was already trembling. When the second seal broke, there was no gentle crack. It tore open like a wound ripped across the sky. From the breach thundered the red horse, its hooves aflame, its breath a furnace wind. Upon it rode war, the horseman of fury, the blade that walks. The moment he arrived, light trembled, and the ground beneath him quaked. Where the first rider brought the illusion of unity, the red horseman unveiled the truth. Harmony built on force is but kindling a waiting flame. Origin, born from humankind's oldest impulse, the instinct to dominate through violence. He is the echo of every battlefield, every spilled drop of blood, every cry for vengeance that has ever pierced the night. He is the roar of armies, the scream of clashing steel, the storm that follows broken trust. Dominion. His sword, long and crimson as a dying sunset, was not lifted. It simply existed, and its existence was enough. Peace shattered in an instant. Tensions suppressed by the white horse erupted with volcanic fury. Old grudges reignited, alliances fractured, and the world plunged into a chaos so complete that even the conqueror could not contain it. Wars ignited on every continent. Not battles of strategy or reason, but raw, unrestrained carnage. Brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. Violence became its own language, spoken fluently by all. How he reshaped the world nations, dissolved into factions, factions splintered into tribes, and tribes into desperate individuals, fighting for dominion over ruins. Cities once unified, under the First Horseman's coercion, now burned under crimson skies. And yet, amid this destruction, the Red Horseman did not revel. He was not joy, but inevitability, the unavoidable shadow cast by the desire to rule. When the fires rose high enough to scorch the heavens, the third seal cracked. From the smoke of unending war, from the ashes of razed fields and broken markets, emerged the black horse, a gaunt, towering creature whose steps left the earth dry and cracked. Upon its back sat the third rider, cloaked in darkness deeper than starless night. In his skeletal hands rested a pair of scales, perfectly balanced, perfectly cruel. Origin. The black horseman is not hunger, it is the math of hunger, the cold arithmetic of scarcity, born not of desire, but of imbalance. Too many mouths, too few resources, too much greed, too little mercy. He is the quiet dread that follows conflict, the whisper in markets, the shadow that grows when abundance shrinks. Dominion. Where his gaze fell, crops wilted, waters receded, warehouses emptied overnight. Not by decay alone, but by impossible valuation. Wealth redefined, necessity remeasured. A loaf of bread became a treasure. A sip of clean water, a luxury of kings. He weighed all things, grain, gold, and the human soul, and found them wanting. How he reshaped the world. Under his reign, hunger became universal language. Famine did not sweep swiftly. It crawled, methodical and relentless. It gnawed at the edges of society, hollowing communities from within. People bartered memories for sustenance. Families split seeking resources that no longer existed. Nations, already fractured by war, collapsed into desperate enclaves. Yet it was not starvation alone that marked his passage. It was the understanding that the world had long been living beyond its means, and that reckoning had merely been postponed. As the world weakened, hope withered. And when the last storehouse emptied, the fourth seal opened with a whisper. From the final seal came no thunder, no blaze, no cry. Only a cold stillness that spread like a shadow across all creation. A horse, pale as morning fog, stepped forward, its form almost translucent. Upon it rode the last horseman, Death, the silent king. No crown adorned him, for he required none. His dominion preceded him. He did not lift a hand, for hands were for those who touched life. He simply arrived, and all things understood. Origin. He was not born, he always was. He is the first shadow cast by existence, the final breath of every creature, the boundary of every story. Death is not cruelty, nor anger, nor judgment. Death is completion. Dominion. Fields once scarred by war fell quiet beneath his passing. Cities emptied, not violently, but peacefully, as if the earth itself exhaled and released what it had held too long. The sick found rest, the weary found silence, the violent found stillness. His rule was absolute, but not malicious. He brought an end to suffering, but also to joy. He removed pain, but also possibility. How he reshaped the world. Under the pale rider, humanity dwindled, not in screams, but in sighs. The world grew quiet, a vast cathedral of stillness, stretching from horizon to horizon. And yet, even death does not mark the end of all things. There remains prophecy, there remains revelation, there remains the tribulation. With the four riders unleashed, the world entered its final trial, a crucible where fate and consequence intertwined. The tribulation was not a single event, but a sequence of reckonings. Skies darkened, not by storm, but by the sheer fatigue of creation. Oceans receded and surged in violent contradiction. Time itself felt unsteady, bending under the strain of unraveling prophecy. Humanity, or what fragments remained, faced visions and wonders spoken of only in ancient, half-forgotten scripture. The White Horseman's empire crumbled as its false unity dissolved. The Red Horseman's wars burned out when no armies remained to fight. The Black Horseman's famine reached its mathematical conclusion. Nothingness can neither be weighed nor divided. And the Pale Rider waited. For even death has a role only in the world that is. The world that comes after is beyond even his reach. In the tribulation, the very fabric of existence strained toward a final breaking point. And then the gates trembled. Deep beneath reality, beyond mortal sight, lie the gates, ancient thresholds older than creation, forged to hold back what exists outside the boundaries of the known. They were not built to imprison, but to separate, to keep the echoes of the unmade at bay until the appointed time. That time came. With a sound like the cracking of every mountain and the sighing of every lost soul, the gates shattered. Light and shadow erupted in symphony, neither good nor evil, but something greater, something primordial. The horsemen reined their steeds and turned toward the breach. Their duty was done, their task completed. From beyond the broken gates emerged not monsters, nor angels, nor demons, but possibility unbound, creation's next breath, the rewriting of reality. And in this unfolding radiance, the world ended and began. For apocalypse does not mean destruction. It means revelation, the unveiling of truth, the turning of an ancient page. And so the Four Horsemen, once harbingers of doom, became witnesses to a new dawn. A dawn no longer shaped by conquest or war, famine or death, but by the world yet to be written.